Obviously, seems like a little bit of longer practice. Did you guys feel like you had a lot to work on, and what exactly do you feel like you were working on this practice to?
This is just a normal third down day for us. Really just got some new looks, a couple of new wrinkles here, so we want to make sure we do a great job of giving the kids the look that they need in order so they can play fast on Saturday.
What do you feel like the biggest lessons you guys need to take to adjust heading to this weekend that you guys learned from a week ago?
Really just operating with a sense of urgency. I think we lacked urgency at times, especially in the first quarter opening the game. So we want to make sure we got our energy right. We're playing on the edge, right, so we can be urgent in everything we do in terms of motion and adjustments, in terms of our communication. Those are all things that's been a point of emphasis this week.
When you take a look at this Fresno team, what stands out about their offense?
I think just traditionally Fresno's always been, a group of hard-nosed football players that have always found a way to create offense. We expect no less. They can do a really good job of getting the ball out of their hands pretty quickly. The quarterback's a good player, right? He knows where he's going with the football. They got some really good skill players as well. So it's going to be a challenge for us to be on our keys and be on fire for our work, right? But we got to really focus on the things that take no talent, right? How hard we play, how physical we play, and knowing our assignment. Those are the things that we're stressing right this week, and we'll let the rest fall where they may.
Fresno had 351 rushing yards just last week. Talk to me about their run game and sort of what you guys are working on to sort of limit their run attack.
I think the first week of the season, right, they didn't run the football as well. So obviously their second game, that was a point of emphasis. So for us, man, that's right up our alley. That's who we want to be, just in terms of being physical in the run game. So we got to have dominant edges, right, to make sure that, hey, the ball doesn't get on the edge and make sure it's in tight shoots. So that's what we've been emphasizing this week, to make sure that not only do we knock it back up front, right, we set dominant edges, right, and then we can let the linebackers run.
What did you see from Kai in terms of adjustment to this team in game one and just what you want to see more from?
Did we talk to Kai Wallin?
Yeah, Kai Wallin.
Man, I think Kai is an awesome addition for us, man. He's a great person. I've enjoyed getting to know him. He's in our breakout leadership group. We're doing unity meetings, and he's a very thoughtful young man, and he really works hard, and he's intentional in his work. I think just the more and more he plays, the more and more he becomes comfortable, he's going to make more plays. I think if you ask him, he left some plays out there on the field. Just looking at my mom, he ran a stunt inside. He ran right by the tackle. That would have been a tackle for loss. The same play that he made, during camp. So it's just really just settling down a little bit more. We'll get a little bit more out of him. But, it's good to have tall, physical guys. Man, we just got to make sure all of those guys, right, stay on top of their assignments, stay on top of their weight, right, because that matters when you're playing on the edges.
You've obviously had a couple days now to watch the film from this past weekend. On the defensive side, what did you like from what you saw on the team in the defense in that game, and how have you kind of taken that into this weekend at the practice?
I thought outside we responded well. I think obviously we had some reps early where the ball went over our head, and all contested catches where we're there. We got to be a little bit more physical at the point of the catch, but to fight back, right, after giving up some plays to get some PBUs. And I like to use it like it's a record, right? Like if we're playing football game, every deep ball is a game, right? So you might go 1-3 or 3-1, right? You might give up one, but you got to bounce back to come back to the other. So each of those guys are talented. Nobody just ran straight by them, right? So we're excited about where they are. We're excited about the opportunity to get an opportunity to make that play again, because it's going to happen again. That's who we are. We call our corners, they're mercenaries here. Right, gunfighters get shot. So you got to have a next play mentality, flush that play if it was negative, flush that play if it was positive, right? And we got to move on and respond regardless of the situation. So I was really pleased with the fight, right, that we didn't give up, we didn't lay down, we didn't let one play kill us twice. So we had two guys going there, a 17-year-old played 60-some snaps, and we got another junior college that hadn't played corner since 2020. So, for them guys to go out there and log as many snaps that they did and to be able to battle, right? Some things are going to go positively, right? Some things will go negatively, but I was really proud of the way that they fought.
Yeah, you talked about the way you guys fought back. It seemed like you guys made a lot of good in-game adjustments. Talk to me about, as from a defensive unit, just what you guys are looking for in terms of those adjustments heading into this Week 2 game.
I think in first games, man, it's always the unknown, right? The unknown of the energy, the unknown of the moment, the unknown of playing in Reeser Stadium when it's packed out in terms of fans, right? We're dealing with that unknown. What we want to see this week is we want to see our guys be who they are, right? We want to see Beaver DNA, right? We want to be an attack front, right? We want to be a pressure-minded guy, and we want to challenge on the back end, right? We don't want anybody to be anybody they're not, right? But what we do want to see, right? We want to see the culture on tape. We want to see us playing physical. We want to see our calling card, which is our effort, showing up each and every time. So, nothing new, nothing different, right? Just doing your job and doing it better.
I haven't asked the co-defensive coordinator. I know when we ask about titles, sometimes you can say it's just, doesn't mean a whole lot. But what does it mean?
I think for us, man, I think there are times, obviously, you got the head football coach calling the defense, so there are going to be times that things are going to grab his attention, right? Then there has to be someone to kind of lead the room at times. Luckily, we got a few guys in there that's been a coordinator along with myself, so I think it's just working hand in hand and just make sure that his vision, right, is being carried out when he's not in the room, and make sure we're all on the same page, whether it's coverage, right, or whether it's the run fit. So I think it's really more of an extension of what coach wants when he's not in the room, and I think we do a pretty good collaborative process with that. But there's been some wrinkles in terms of us as collaborative, the defense that we've added, right, to make us look a little bit different in terms of what we've done in the past. So it's just really just brainstorming, bringing some things that may have been from a system previously, or maybe bringing something that's from my personal system that may fit what we do here. But it's more being an extension of coach, right, making sure that we're all speaking the same language. And if he happens to step out with head coaching duties, right, that we got someone to kind of carry on and have the organization there.
You already touched a little bit on Trey and Jaleel, what you saw from them last week. What's the biggest area of growth that you're looking from them headed into Fresno?
I think the urgency to get aligned, right? Fresno gave us, Cal gave us some motion adjustments, and I think for new players, right, seeing it live, right, they kind of slowed. It was playing a little bit slow. So what we'd like to see from them guys is just grow in that area because they're both talented football players. But it's hard to play football when you're not aligned. Right, so the first thing we got to do, we got to get aligned, and then our natural abilities will be able to show up. But again, we're going to keep on developing those guys. We got some other guys that we want to hope to get back soon, right, and other guys that we want to continue to grow, right, so they get a chance to add depth to the room. But I think those guys are going to be fine. We'd like to see them play more physical at the point of contact. I think, it's going to be rare times that they're going to get ran by because they both carry good speed, but we just got to be more physical, right, and make the referees call the game. Right, and then not necessarily assume that I can't be over-aggressive. Hey, we want to be as aggressive as we possibly can and let the ref say, hey, calm it down, that's a little bit too much contact.
On the interior, how is Tavita progressing at this point?
We're hopeful, that he can play. Obviously, is a big part of what we want to do. But at the same time, right, we want to make sure that when we do get him back, that he's back to stay. So we don't want to rush him back, in terms of getting, not necessarily the results that we want and getting the player that we'd like to have out there. So, he's day-to-day right now, and, we haven't had a staff meeting to kind of see where he is, but, we're a better team when he's out there.
You talked a lot about urgency in this little interview. Talk to me about how do you preach or how do you teach the urgency and sort of the tempo from a defensive side?
I think it starts with the energy, the edge and the execution, right? I think it starts with the energy. I like to bring a lot of energy. Coach Coop does the same, and we want those guys to model that. So we try to get the the urgency to communicate in the meeting room. We try to carry over that same urgency, aligning with speed, right? Even in the walkthrough, and hopefully, right, we get that to carry over into our team periods and practice. So it's really we want to operate and let that be our mindset that everything's urgent, everything's sped up. Sometimes that's trial by fire. Sometimes they get a little verbal motivation in order to do that, right? But I think once the kids see, and they see the standard of someone like Skylar who's always getting ahead of the snap, right, we're just trying to get those guys to kind of come up to where he is. And if we do, right, we'll be better as a defense.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, appreciate y'all.
So Coach talked about how you guys were close in rushing the passer, just needed to kind of finish him off. I'm wondering, looking at the tape for yourself, for your teammates, what stood out to you?
Rush line integrity is big, especially against a young guy. Watching his tape from high school and things like that, seeing how he's going to react to pressures and people in his face and kind of his escape lanes and what he's comfortable with. So just maintaining rush lanes is big, and then going back to just tackling fundamentals. Time and place, what's the situation, what's the body angle, what's your attack angle, all those things. Just how to tackle, profile tackle, wrap up, hugging somebody, going low, whatever it is. So just getting back to the fundamentals.
How do you feel like the defense has kind of rebounded after last weekend? Did you guys, come into Sunday, flush it down, and how hungry did you kind of go into this week, heading to this Fresno State matchup?
Yeah, I think Sunday was a big day, just getting recovery and then watching the tape, and kind of just watching that with an open heart, open mind. Seeing what what did we do well, what didn't go well, and then what did we learn from the tape to move forward from that. And then starting off practice, just even before we got in the field, talking about the 3 E's, energy, effort, edge, kind of just going back to what our DNA, what we want our DNA to be, and what we want it to look like, and just getting everything to jump off the tape.
One of the things Coach Brady said he liked from Saturday was the overall rush defense. How did you feel that went, and what do you see that still could be improved against Fresno State?
Yeah, I think the team played great. I think defense played great, top down, from the front, from the secondary. Just continue, you can always improve on communication and trying to make, like I said, things pop off the tape, like your energy, your effort, that kind of thing, your desire to get to the football and make a play when it's presented, not looking for anything outside of our zone, just do our job, do our 111th, and then, good things will happen. So I'm excited for the guys that are on the field and the guys that are soon to come back, and whether it's rehab or whatever it is. But yeah, I think we're in a great spot.
Fresno State ran for a lot of yards last weekend. When you look at the tape, what do you see that they're doing well?
Good for them. They're a hard-working team.
Anything else? Thanks, guy.
Cool, thank you.
So for you, looking at the tape from the last game, what stands out about where the defense can improve in your eyes?
Well, environment, especially, we just got to challenge more on the receivers, get our hands more on them, and play through the ball. A lot of times, those 2 catches that we had, we didn't really challenge as much. So just challenging, making it hard. They got to earn their catches if they do have the opportunity to get the ball. So we got to make them earn it. And then just defense, we need more guys flying to the ball, myself included. We need more guys running to the ball when it beats a stack or something like that. We just need more energy in that part. And it came kind of flat, and that was the result of what happened last week.
How much harder is it for the secondary sort of playing shorthanded at this point in the season?
Man, I don't really focus on that type of stuff, man. It's the next man up because we're all in the same meetings, we're all learning the same things, and if it's your turn to step up, man, you've been waiting this opportunity your whole life. So you should be able to jump up and be happy to be able in that position, and you got to go out there and execute just like the guy before you. So I don't really focus on that kind of stuff. If your numbers call, you got to be ready. So.
Talked a little bit about the mistakes, but during the game, the in-game adjustments, it seemed like the defense rallied behind it, right? There were several points in the game where you gave your guys' offense another chance to get back. How important was it for you guys as a unit to see you could bounce back in the middle of the game? And again, what does that do heading to this week of practice when you get set to face another opponent like Fresno State?
Yeah, man. I think the biggest thing was just settling into the game. I think a lot of guys, it was the first game, so a lot of jitters and stuff like that. But, man, like our coaches say all the time in our DV room, man, it's just football. You got to go out there and just play the game that you love, you played your whole life. So that was the biggest thing. Just coming out flat and being able to respond was the biggest thing. That just shows the kind of defense we are, that we are able to respond when things don't go right. And that's the biggest thing we preach. What are you going to do when adversity hits? So that was the biggest thing, the way we could respond. And we did a lot of good things, but obviously it wasn't to the standard that we liked, and that's what happened with the score as well.
You guys obviously have had plenty of time to watch the film on Fresno State. What are you seeing? Obviously, they had a great rushing attack last week. What do you feel like you need to do as a unit and as a defense as a whole to really get the job done this weekend?
Man, we just got to focus on our keys, make sure we have our R's right, and we just got to play the best of our ability, man. We got to go out there and, like I said, fix the stuff that we did from week 1. Man, obviously it's in the past, but we got to come back with that energy. We got to come back with that edge that we know we can play with. And, man, we got to play for our head coach, our DC, man. We got to emulate what he has put out for us and be able to go out there and show the standard of what we can do out there as a defense.
You mentioned it, and Coach Chance talked about it too as well, just how like week 1 was sort of just getting readjusted to the actual in-game experience, but now week 2 is actually about playing to your standard. Do you feel like with the way that you guys adjusted in week 1 heading into the second half that you guys feel the defense especially is gelling more and that you guys are better prepared to play to your guys' standard?
Man, I think just week 1 in general, you've seen it around the whole country that a lot of teams weren't as what they seemed they were. So, but that's how week 1s go. You go and adjust and see what you guys are actually at, because it's different from practice and games. So it's just going from what you go from a game and seeing the film and what you had there, and then just being able to adjust on that. And I feel like we've been able to communicate more. I think that was the biggest thing that hurt us a lot is we didn't win the pre-snap. So we got to be able to communicate more and make sure everybody around us is hearing in our triangle that we have. So, the biggest thing was just communication, and that's what we learned. So that's helped a lot in practice with communicating more. They're challenging us every day to be louder, man, and if we're not loud, then you probably won't be on the field. So if they said we're too loud, that they need to tell us to shut up, then that was the point. So yeah.
Coach Chance also talked about how he wants you guys to be a little more urgent, especially on the defensive side, getting to the line, upping the tempo. Talk to me about the way that you guys have been sort of practicing that sense of urgency.
And before we take the field, we always break it out with anything, just on 3 or something like that. We'll break it out, and then the urgency just to get to the field and then turn around and look for the call and stuff like that. Just being able to be aligned to the right formation, man, because If you're aligned wrong, then that's bad right there. So just being able to align correctly and having the urgency to get aligned and then make the call, and then everybody around you in your triangle, like I said before, could hear. So just making sure that everybody around you is playing the correct thing so we can be able to execute as a defense.
Anything else? Thanks, Si.
Yep, appreciate you.